Welcome to Conversations with Garmamie. This is episode 13. So what are you doing right now?
I am submitting my latest short film, Brotherly, to a local film festival here in Ottawa, the Mirror Mountain Film Festival.
So Henry's filling out this submission form and he's taking forever. Hurry up, damn it.
Film or Filmmaker website. So it should. I'm almost done, Garmamie. Almost done.
Our guest is Henry Eruotor. He's a film director, videographer, editor, and producer. You can watch his films at thorvicksmethodproductions.com. You can find the link in the episode description.
Another reason why I chose filmmaking is because I want to be able to tell my story, our story, the African story, from my point of view. I do not want someone else telling my story on my behalf. They might not portray it as realistically as it should be, and that's why I think I have a responsibility to tell my story as realistically as I know it, as I've experienced it.
We're talking storytelling, filmmaking, growing up in Nigeria, and what motivates Henry to produce short films and documentaries. And you're going to like this. We got an exclusive interview with Egan. Yes, that's Henry's 1-year-old son and probably the youngest ever emerging filmmaker. So, Henry, what motivates you to tell stories, to tell stories visually in this format?
I am a very visual person, and I think, well, there are different forms of storytelling. I actually prefer the visual one. Filmmaking is, for me, a more impactful one. Something you can actually listen to and watch. Yeah, so that's why I chose filmmaking. Plus, I love it. I just like telling stories. I like to tell people my story, through films.
Which part of filmmaking do you enjoy the most?
Editing. Editing for me is the most interesting part, because you can actually tell several stories with the same footage, depending on how you edit it, depending on how you cut it. Because with music, with lighting, with colors, you can change a mood from when it was actually shot on set. So for me, editing is very, very interesting. I love it, especially when you have good footage, when you have good acting and it was shot well. When you're editing it, I feel like I'm in heaven. Sometimes I dance. I'm like, yes, you know what I mean? I really love the final editing part is what I like.
What's your least favorite?
Pre-production, all the planning, because you never know. You can plan and plan and plan, but when it comes to the day of shoot, so many things can go wrong. An actor might become sick. They don't remember their lines. An equipment might just die on you. Lights, bulbs can just go off. So many things can go wrong. Can
you tell us a story in regards to one of these incidents?
So, one time I did all this. We did all this planning and got everybody ready. We were going to shoot. What was it now? Otito. Otito is a short film that I did, and I called the lead actor. One time, no response. I called like 6 times. There was no response. Finally, I sent a text. I did everything. There was nothing. And we're actually driving to set. I was actually going to his house to pick him up so we can go and shoot. There was no response. I'm like, what am I going to do? I mean, we've done all these preparations. We've rented equipment.
Was he nervous or something?
He was sick. He said he was sick. He told me he was sick. I'm like,
so what? You can still act if you're sick, right?
So I was pleading. I was begging. I said, listen, well, I'm gonna be nice. We're gonna be so quick. We're not gonna take all day. Just please come out, because we've gone through all of this. We've spent money renting equipment. There are other people coming from different parts of the city and stuff like that. It went very well though, but it was a little scary because, I mean, we could have lost the whole day, lost all that. You know what I mean? So yeah, so many things can go wrong. It could rain. You could prepare to shoot an outdoor scene, a bright sunny outdoor scene, and even if you check the weather network and all kinds of stuff, the forecast and everything, it could just start raining on you.
Right.
You know what I mean? And say you're shooting a scene inside, and one time we went to shoot a commercial, a little promotional video, sort of. And we were at a location somewhere in Orleans, far away outside of town. And we got lights and stuff. And something happened. I think the someone hit the light and it fell off while it was on, and then the bulb just went off. That was it. We this was 11 p.m.
Damn. Sorry.
There was no way to replace that.
Damn.
So, and
what do you do in those situations?
you improvise. You go out to Walmart and buy makeshift, do-it-yourself kind of lights.
Damn right.
Because it took the makeup artist to do up the primary talent. Mm-hmm. It took her over an hour and a half to wear the makeup on. And we start shooting. We're like 15 minutes into the shoot, and we don't have lights. It's indoor. It's almost midnight. You need lights to shoot. What do you do? So that's why I said post-production is the best for me, because you have control over it.
Yeah, you got the final product. Well, you got the raw footage. Now you got to do is stitch it together. Yeah,
that's right. You can control it, right? But pre-production and production, pre-production you can even control it. You can plan as much as you can, but production, anything can happen.
I'm surprised to hear that. Well, not surprised, but obviously editing is fun, right? Mm-hmm. So I thought you were going to say directing, because I've seen you obviously direct. I've acted in some of your, in your films and your short movies, and I think you're, a solid director. And I think one of your greatest strengths, and in terms, because it's dealing with people, right? You're dealing with emotions and people, and sometimes maybe not the best actors. I'm talking about myself, but you're very patient. Which is amazing, because I've seen you in situations where I'm like, wow, how hasn't he murdered someone yet? Like, you know what I mean?
Well, the truth is, many of the people I work with, they are not professional actors. Mm-hmm. And I understand that. So there's so much you can ask from someone who is not a professional actor. If I was paying these people and they are professional actors, then I will be losing my cool. And I'll be like, do it again. I'll be yelling and stuff like that, right? Because you're being paid for that.
Right.
But if it's just for fun, we're just doing this, there's nothing I can do, right? Especially because I don't have access to professional. I cannot pay professional actors just yet.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So yeah, that's why I didn't say directing. Just because if I had access to professional actors and it's all fun and games, like if I tell them do this and they do it, it'll be fun. But when I say do this and I don't get it back, it's frustrating. And I understand that they might not understand where I'm coming from or what I'm asking. Mm-hmm. So then it's no longer fun for me because it's too much. You know what I mean? But if I'm working with professionals and I say, okay, I need you to take 2 steps and hit your mark and say these lines, and they know what I'm saying without me yelling and repeating myself, then, because you were laughing when I talked about actors not remembering their lines. It is sacrosanct. You have to know your lines because you have to repeat it over and over and over again when we're shooting, because I have to take it from different angles, right?
Right.
But if you say it one time one way and you say it the second time or third time in a different way, then it gives me problems when I'm trying to edit it.
Now, on that note, has there ever been a situation when you were in post, while you were editing, when you just wished you were, like,
Burner.
Yeah.
Yes. There's so many times. But in the end, I tell myself, these people are amateurs. You can't force it out. There's so much you can ask from someone who, you know what I mean? But one time I shot a short film with this guy. It was so bad I had to reshoot it. I dropped it all. I said,
Which one is this?
I can't say.
Am I in it?
No. I had to redo it.
Okay.
I had to use a different actor because I'm like, I cannot put my name on this.
Wow.
I cannot.
That bad, eh?
It was bad.
Jesus.
It was bad.
Huh.
It was really, 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 because before now I thought as a director I can direct anybody. I can make anybody act, right? Until I shot that film and I saw it and I'm like, no, I'm sorry, this is not going out.
What do your friends and family and community, what do they think about your films and you being a filmmaker? What do they think about that?
My friends are very proud of me. They are very happy. Many of people I call my friends actually are the people I went to theater school with, so they know what we can do. So they're very happy that we are flying the flag proudly here, and they're very supportive. But many of them don't understand why I chose short films so much. They will say, "Hey, make it longer. It's only when the story is becoming interesting that's when we see the end. Come on, Henry, make it longer. Give me a feature-length film." But hey, we have limited funds and stuff here, so we're doing our very best. Very soon, when we have access to more funds and access to professionals and stuff, then we'll start reeling out the feature-length films and feature-length documentaries.
How do you fund your work?
They're all independently funded by myself, mostly.
What do people think about that?
Well, they don't know. Many people don't even think of that. You know what I mean? Nobody asks you how you fund your films. They just see a beautiful film and like, oh, that's cool. But they don't know that, hey, you have to get gas to go pick up actors, rent equipment, and sometimes you have to provide lunch for actors and stuff like that, and a bottle of some alcohol for people to enjoy themselves. You know what I mean? So yeah, things like that, it cost some money, but it's fine.
Henry, what's your opinion on Ottawa's film scene?
I think it's growing. I think 5-10 years ago, I don't think it was like this, or maybe I didn't know, because when you think of film in Canada, you think of Toronto, Vancouver, and Montreal. But I'm very, very happy that Ottawa is becoming a film city. Many people are willing to volunteer to, they want to help you make your film. Before now, I've been naive. I've been shying away from asking for help. I wanted to do it all by myself, but you can't. The filmmaking is a collaborative effort. You need lots of people to work together with, and that's why I like the DG60 idea, because what their mantra is to get different filmmakers, so from writers to film directors and editors and photographers, everybody, sound man, they try to bring that community together and make films, and I like that.
So far, what's your experience been at some of these festivals you've submitted your films in? What's some of the vibes? What are some of the comments you're hearing?
Well, first of all, because I'm from Africa and from Nigeria, it's jolting for them. Not jolting, it's different because I don't think they've seen many African Canadians or black people on their screens as much as they're seeing now with me submitting my films, because many of the people, the actors I use, like you, are originally from Africa, right? So it's great. I get great feedback because it's different. It's different from the Canadian, the regular, Caucasian Canadian kind of film. Well, it's the same, mostly the same theme, but the people you're seeing on screen, they look different and they sound different. So it's interesting for them, and yeah, it's been great so far.
On that note, are there lots of people in? Are there lots of filmmakers that are from these communities, from African communities, Latin American, South American, or Canada is such a rich, diverse country, so many different ethnic groups. And from what you know and from what you've seen, are there lots of, is this diversity represented in their stories and in terms of the actors and actresses and whatever?
From my experience, I haven't seen a lot of diversity in Ottawa. There might be in Toronto and other parts of Canada, but in Ottawa, I haven't seen many filmmakers from different cultures so far. I'm sure there are, but I haven't seen many of their works and stuff like that.
What I'm just asking stuff, and I might use some, I might not, so whatever. What themes? What are some of the themes and stories that are being shared in the films that you've seen screened here in the city? What are they about?
So many of the films I've seen screened in film festivals are more, they are from competitions. So there is the festival directors and the festival people. They give you a theme that all filmmakers will have to make their film on. So it's mostly the same. The last one we did was for DG60 was renewal, the theme of renewal, and yeah. So all the films are supposed to have a theme of renewal, and then there was another one earlier in the winter, the Ottawa International Film Festival, the 72-hour film festival. That one, the theme was of sports. Your film had to have some sports in it, and there were some other elements that your film had to incorporate. We had fun with that one. Yeah.
You started in drama originally, right? You did theater.
I actually have a degree in theater arts. So I went to theater school for 4 years, and I majored in film production. My final production in school was an adaptation of a very popular stage play. So I adapted it from stage to screen. It's one of
What's the play? Tell us.
it's Trials of Brother Jerry. It's written by a very famous Nigerian writer, Wole Soyinka. Yeah, so I adapted it from stage to screen, and that was my first stint on production. It was a beautiful experience, and I fell in love with adapting scripts generally.
Tell us about your time in school. You grew up in Nigeria, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Where in Nigeria did you grow up, and how was life back home?
I grew up in the south of Nigeria. I'm from Delta State, and it's a city called Warri. It's a very, very famous city in Nigeria. So there's a
Why
local.
is it famous? What's
So there are over 300 and something different languages in Nigeria, but the official language is English. And there's unofficial language that's called Pidgin English. It's like a Jamaican patois or the Haitian Creole.
Can we hear that? Can we hear it?
It's
putting
jargon
it on
English. It's broken English.
Let's
So
hear it,
you
let's
say
hear it.
something like, if I want to say how you doing, I'll say how far.
How far what?
How far? It's like, how far are you going? How far with life? What's going on with you? You know.
Okay, give us another one. This is
So something like, where you they go, instead of where you going, where you they go,
cool.
waiting you they do, what are you doing? So stuff like that. So Wari is famous for this language. People from Wari, they have a uniqueness. They have a firm grasp of this language. That
Do people from Wari ever worry? Bad joke.
No. It's actually very, very funny because there's a saying that Wari boy not they carry last. What that means is someone from Wari, you can't trick them, you can't scam them because they are supposed to be very smart.
Sharp.
You know, exactly. They're always on point.
Nice.
So I remember one time I went to Lagos, which is the famous city in Nigeria. I went to Lagos, and when I started talking, the kids in the building where I was living, they were just staring at me because I was speaking Pidgin, which was different from the kind of Pidgin they speak in Lagos, because the Wari Pidgin is unique and it's supposed to be like the alpha.
So,
You know what I mean?
So there's not one version of Nigerian
Pidgin.
English. It's regionalized.
That's right, and I don't know the history, but it's possible that it might have started from Wari, or the Wari version is seen as the standard. So many of the stand-up comedians in Nigeria either grew up in Wari or have friends in Wari, because if you don't speak the Wari Pidgin English, it's not considered funny. You know what I mean? It's more like the authentic Pidgin English. The original Wari Pidgin English is the authentic Pidgin English.
And where is Wari as far as so is it east of Lagos? You're in
It's
the
south. Is south is one of the southernmost cities in the country.
Okay, so you're right by
the ocean.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you grew up there. How was life growing up?
Growing up was fun. Went to primary school, secondary school there. Growing up was fun. Well, so there are different tribes in Nigeria, right? And in Delta State, there are also different tribes. So at some point in my life when I was growing up, we had tribal conflicts. Mm-hmm. So the major three tribes in my state, which are the Urobos, the Ijos, and the Shakiris, there was a major conflict, tribal conflict. So there were fightings, there were killings and burning of houses and all kinds of stuff. That was a little traumatic for me, but we grew past that, and I think it was a learning curve for me too, because all of that I think prepared me for who I am today. Going through all that, the friends that I've made over the years and people I've related with, so that when I came to Canada and I saw that things were working, and you know, you wake up every morning and you thank God that you are in a beautiful and peaceful society. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Things work. You pay your taxes and you get the services that you pay for. So it has really helped, because I remember when I was doing my final project in school, I had to ask my older brother in the States then to send me some money so I can get equipment to record my film. But here in Canada, I don't have to do that. I have access to equipment, and I mean, you can rent. You don't even have to buy stuff. If you don't have enough money, you can rent from places, and there's no stopping you. Mm-hmm. You know, the sky's the limit here. You can collaborate with different filmmakers, so from writers to people are just willing and eager to work with you in Ottawa here. So it's been a beautiful experience. I'm especially lucky because one of my good friends from drama school from theater arts is actually in Canada, and I work with him most of the time. We have the same sense of artistic eye. So whenever I have an idea, I will speak to him, and same with him when he has an idea, will speak to me, and we work together a lot. And that's if Mike Ifeta, you know him, yeah. So we work together a lot, and I think we work well together.
So going back to you finished your university in Nigeria. Can you tell us what's it like to study theater arts in Nigeria? And I ask this, and give us some background as to the art scene and in terms of the cultural industry in Nigeria, because I know that filmmaking and Nollywood is huge, right? I think it's the biggest producer of films on the continent of Africa. So tell us about Nollywood, and tell us about whether or not that had any impact on you.
So the truth is,
the truth.
I didn't set out to be a filmmaker.
You gotta be kidding me.
It's the truth.
Okay.
Well, here's the truth. I love filmmaking. Even when I was a little boy, I've always wanted to tell stories. But growing up, I was the last child in my family. My older siblings, my parents, they wanted me to become a professional, like, a medical doctor, a lawyer, and stuff like that. I know this is cliche. Everybody says this, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
So for several years, when I left high school, I didn't even start university because I was applying to universities to study medicine or to law. But I wasn't cut out for the sciences. I wasn't passing my physics and my chemistry. So one time I said, you know what? I'm just going to apply for the arts. I bought the books for literature and other subjects that you need to study the arts. And I taught myself at home, and I wrote the exam, and I passed it one time. And I'm like, you know what? Why are you wasting your time trying to become a doctor when, you know what I mean? So I applied, and I got into theater school.
So wait a minute. Did you have any artistic
tendencies?
Yeah.
I did, because I remember when I was watching DVDs, because they weren't very popular in Nigeria. Growing up in Warri, I was lucky enough to have a brother who was living in the US. So every time he comes home to visit, he will bring movies in DVDs, The Cosby Show, action movies and stuff like that. So when I watched the movie, usually in DVDs you have the director's cut. Sure. Where they show you the tricks, and that's the part behind the scenes. That was the part that intrigued me more. I was so intrigued at how the equipment they were using, and the director's point of view, and why they chose a particular color of dress that the actress would wear, and the theme and the kind of music they would play in different scenes. I'm like, wow, this is cool. Like going behind the cameras to see how all of that was put together. That was exactly what drew me into filmmaking and theater. So when I got the opportunity to study in university, I said, you know what, I'm just gonna forget about sciences and become a theater artist. For me, becoming a filmmaker, I had to go to university to study how to do this. And the closest thing to filmmaking in Nigeria for me was theater arts. So that was fun. There are a bunch of filmmakers in Nigeria that actually went to the university I went to, which was Delta State University. So the highest grossing film in West Africa right now was done by a guy that went to my university. His name is Ayo Makun. He's popularly known as AY. He did a film called 30 Days in Atlanta with a bunch of Hollywood actors. So it's a comedy, but was very good. I digress. But the thing is, theater arts was so much fun. It was very, very physical. So you wake up early in the morning for rehearsals. You stay up late at night rehearsing. You're doing a lot of courses. So you do both theories. So you're reading stuff,
Right.
and you're doing dancing, you're singing, you're acting. There's so many things. So there's a technical part of it and all that kind of stuff. But in all of this, it was the film part of it. We had a couple of courses where you had to do film, and those were the ones that I actually excelled at. And you also do some radio production. You do some radio dramas and stuff like that. I really enjoy those ones where you record different voices and edit it and stuff like that. So it was so much fun doing that. So as soon as I finished theater school, I came to Canada, and then Nollywood was becoming very popular in the world. Right now, Nollywood is said to be the second biggest in the world after Hollywood. That's
Hollywood?
Yeah. So some places you see Nollywood is third. Some places you see number two. So, well, anyways, Hollywood was becoming very popular. I wanted to become a part of it, and I knew for me to compete with what is going on in Nigeria and to improve on Nollywood, I had to learn more. So when I came to Canada, I took a documentary program. It was the closest thing I could lay my hands on in Ottawa. So it was a documentary production program at Algonquin College. That's where I met you. Yeah. So we had a couple of very, very, very intelligent and experienced documentary filmmakers, Peter Pesterfield, and the Roonies, and a bunch of them like that. So we did that, and that.
What did you think of the program?
It was good. It was excellent. You had access to equipment, to sophisticated cameras and audio equipment, and
How would you compare it to Nigeria in terms of even the dynamics with fellow students and the equipment?
It's different. It's different. In Canada, I had access to more equipment for free. Anyways, it's not free. Nothing is free, because I paid my tuition, right? But in Nigeria, even if you pay your school fees and stuff like that, there were no available equipment from the department. So you had to provide for yourself. Remember, I told you about how I had to ask my brother in the States to get me some money to get equipment. And so that's a difference. But another difference is back home in Nigeria, people are willing to learn, so they will go the hard way to get the information they want. So we're reading books instead of using computers and using the internet and stuff like that. But here, it's actually easier. There you have access to more resources, to YouTube and the bunch of websites online where you can learn stuff on your own. Yeah, so that's what's up.
What overall, what did you learn from your experience at the documentary production program? Looking back now, he's smiling. Well, do tell.
A lot. They prepared you for. I'll give you an example. It made me more organized in my post-production work.
Okay.
So that you have to do a paper edit before you actually start editing online. You mean
you actually do that?
I try to.
You're nuts.
No.
I'm kidding.
It's actually, it's amazing. It's actually very, very helpful.
Sure.
My last project, because I shot in 4K, as Brotherly, I tried to edit at home on my Final Cut Pro that I have here in the basement. But because my computer is a little older now, it won't even play the 4K video. So I had to go and rent a studio to edit.
What was your reaction when you found out? Come on, give us describe the situation.
It was frustrating.
Did you snap?
I had just a few days to submit a film.
Right.
Even though it's a 2.5 minute film, it's supposed to be 2.5 minute film, but I have a lot of footage and I needed to edit this, right? And my computer is not working.
It's not working because there's insufficient RAM, or is
it's just an older version. It's
Right,
it's not fast enough to play 4K footage. You know what I mean?
Is there? Yeah. No, I do know what you mean.
So I had to seek help. I had to go rent a space to edit this.
And where did you rent it?
This is at Saw Video.
Okay.
So Saw Video, they were very helpful. I spoke to actually a colleague of ours. He went to documentary school there. He works there, Eric.
Right.
Eric was very helpful. Eric gave me
Shout outs to Eric.
That's right. So Eric introduced me to DaVinci. What is it called now? DaVinci something. It's a software that you use for black magic.
Okay.
Black magic footage. It helps you downgrade the footage.
This is the camera you use that's shot in 4K.
That's correct. Yeah. That's correct. So we use that to convert the footage to something that is usable, right? So we did that, and I edited. Then so it helped me. So what happened was, what I did was use a paper edit to go through the footage to see which shots I need and which ones I won't be using and all kinds of stuff. So when I actually started editing, it was a little faster. So I just go, okay, I need from on video 102, I need from 1 minute and 50 seconds to 1 minute and 58 seconds, just a few seconds off of it. I cut that, put it on timeline, and move on to the next video. So it was actually very fast. So I spent a lot of time doing the paper edit and pre-editing stuff, so that when I actually start the editing, it's a smooth exercise. So these are some of the things that you learn from an experienced filmmaker like Peter Biesterfeld. Yeah. So, and Peter will always say,
to Biesterfeld.
That's right. Peter will always say he wants B-rolls. He wants to hear the background sound. It makes it look authentic. You know what I mean? He doesn't like to see footage that doesn't have audio. You know what I mean? Some of those things they stuck. So when I'm making my documentaries right now, I try to put all what I've learned from different filmmakers, from different teachers, So, and
who's that upstairs?
That's my little guy. That's Egan. It's my 1-year-old son.
I saw a picture of Egan and you. You guys were using the camera, the Black Magic.
Yeah. There's a saying, catch them young. So I'm trying to see if I can make him one of the youngest filmmakers out there.
Do you think does he dig the filmmaking process?
He loves the camera. So
I'd like to interview him later for a bit.
If you can understand his blabbing, yeah, for sure.
I'm sure our listeners will understand what Egan has to say.
So sometimes I use my cell phone to record him when he's playing or when he's talking to me. And I play it back to him. And he's just so excited, just watching himself. You know what I mean? Wow. So I think he's either going to be an actor or probably a filmmaker also.
Really?
I don't know yet, but we'll see.
Hey, how are you? How are you doing? So, Egan, what do you think about your dad's films? What do you think about your dad's films? Do you like his films? He just walks away. Egan, any thoughts on your dad's films? Egan? He's clearly not interested in being interviewed at the moment, but we'll see if his father can get him to speak to us here. Henry, so I was asking Egan what he thought about. Your films.
He's actually my biggest fan. Every time I play back my movies, he has 100% concentration. He's just watching.
Really?
Even if he's crying, he's just watching. Yep.
Is that right, Egan? Are you more into documentary or fictional films, or what do you prefer to do? Before we dive into your list of films.
The truth is, I do both. But lately I've been doing more of short films, more
Sell out.
more drama than I would want to do documentaries. I just got an idea about a documentary not too long ago when I finished my last one, and somebody saw it and gave me an idea on what to do next. I'm actually going to start shooting that documentary in like 2 weeks time. So it's going to be I want to speak. My previous documentary was speaking to Africans who have been in Canada for so long, or for such and such period of time. I wanted to know what they missed about Africa and how they can relate their life from Africa to Canada. And I think you were one of the people I spoke to. Yeah. So when someone saw it and said, Henry, you have to speak to the children too. African kids who were born here, and see what they know about their parents' country. So I want to speak to kids who were born here who are from African descent and see what they know about their countries, about the food, the music, and the language and stuff like that. So I want to. That's my next project.
I noticed you're living in Canada now. You've been living here for how many years?
A little over 8 years.
What does it mean to be a Nigerian Canadian?
I am actually glad I was born in Nigeria, in Africa, because it makes me see life from a different point of view, from a different perspective. So, I don't even know how to explain this to you, but it helps me appreciate life more. Helps me have versatile point of view, so that because I've seen life from harsh conditions to the very, very subtle and peaceful conditions here in Canada. So as a director, you want to be able to have a grasp of something like that. So when you're directing someone that you want them to express sadness and frustration and struggle, you know what you're looking for. And when you're directing someone who lives in a peaceful environment and has life easy, you know what you're looking for also. So I give an example. In drama school, I had a professor who was talking to us about acting, about being a realistic actor. He said there are some things you can fake. You can try to imitate from just watching other people doing it, right? But there are some things you can't fake. You have to experience it for you to be able to reenact it. So he gave an example of he told us, because none of us had gone abroad then, we weren't familiar with snow and stuff. So he said if he puts us on stage right now and asks us to act like we were in sub 30 degrees and it was snowing, how can we react to that? He said none of us will be able to adequately express that unless you actually experience that. You know what I mean? Sure. And that stuck with me, and that's true, because so that's why I'm saying if you haven't seen life from that point of view, you can't act it, or you can't direct it as much as you can bring it to life as much as it should be.
In our next episode, we're going to hear more from Henry regarding his future projects abroad, his production company, and we'll also hear from his wife, Anika.
When Henry and I first met, and we used to talk on the phone all the time, and I think once, sort of out of nowhere, he was just telling me a story of when he was in university. And after that time, I would always say, okay, tell me a story. Every time we spoke on the phone, tell me a story. Because I think he's a great storyteller, because he relates with other people so well, because he listens and communicates so well. So I think that's where his strengths lie as a filmmaker.
Thank you for listening to Conversations with Garmamie. For more information, visit garmamie.com. That's GARMAMIE.com. GARMAMIE.com.